How's it going out there, everybody? So apparently there's a straight buttload of JRPGs out there. There's a lot of them, like seriously, and there's some in Japan. There are European versions. There's Western versions, in other words, American versions. So, without further ado, I did tell you I was going to give you this. This is going to be a two-parter. So, the first part is going to be right now. This is my wish list. This is what I want in terms of JRPGs, and I'll probably go over some of these. And some of these I used to own, and I really miss them, and I want them back. So. It's not like, I have, enough JRPGs as it is anyway. I mean, I have a lot. So, and, a lot of people, they have a wish list, They have, their ultimate goals in life, what they want to do with themselves. I have JRPGs, because that's all I need. So anyway, let's go ahead and kind of get into this. So, my first one up is Vagrant Story for the PlayStation 1. Now, Vagrant Story, I never played it before. This actually came out before I got into JRPGs. I think I was into like Brave Fencer Musashi and stuff like that too. So I was playing stuff like that, but I actually never heard of Vagrant Story when I was younger. Once I got older, I knew about it when I was younger. I just didn't really delve into it like that. And now it's my most sought after JRPG. So Vagrant Story is a big one I want. Definitely get Vagrant Story. Well, if you're looking for it like I am, or if you own it, you can put in the comment section what you thought about it. So yeah, let's go into that. So the next one, now this one I did used to own. It's called Vandal Hearts. I love this game. I love Vandal Hearts. Vandal Hearts was one of those games that was made by Konami. It was a PS1 JRPG where it was a straightforward tactical RPG with a really good story, really good characters, and a really nice turn-based / strategical mechanic. It does have where you can recruit people to be on your team and stuff like that. If you had a certain amount of points, I believe that's how it was. I haven't played it in a while. And then you gain of course those characters gain experience. You have different classes, different types, different weapons you can put on them. It was just an amazing game, really good JRPG. So, the Vandal Hearts, yes, that is a must-have. Going into the next one, this is another one I used to own, Girl Answer Generations. Now, Girl Answer Generations was a pretty good JRPG. When I played it, I love that game. It's another tactical JRPG. You kind of move more on a grid versus moving in blocks and stuff like that. But it's still but as far as you could move, that's as far as you could basically go in the game. So it was pretty nice. It was a big box set, so I had all the stuff to it. The game got stolen from me, I believe, so I'm trying to recoup that, trying to get it back. So Girl Answer Generations, that's another one. Another one is Revelations Persona. Now, I never owned the first Persona. The first Persona I've ever owned was Persona 2, and I still own it for the PS1. So Persona 2, or Revelations Persona, rather, was before they started labeling everything Shin Megami Tensei. And they, excuse me. So, remember that. So basically, it's a dark JRPG. Of course, all the Persona games are pretty dark. So this one is, I'll tell you a funny story about this one actually, because it was a game where, wipe this off my face. Oh, sweating. Whew. So it was basically a game to where, I actually went to a flea market over here on the, basically a flea market, and they were selling different games and stuff like that. And this guy, he actually had the first Persona. And I asked him, I was like, so how much are you selling the first Persona for? He said $40. I'm like, oh, $40? Really? The only thing is, the thing that sucks is, I carry all my cash on my debit card. So I'd actually go out to the ATM, pull the money out, and then give it to him, and I'd have the game. So what sucked though was there's Asian kid that was there, and he already had the money available, and he wanted it really bad. I'm like, oh my goodness, no, don't buy it. So that was my only one-time shot of getting Persona Revelations, or Revelations Persona rather, for a really cheap price. So I'm definitely looking for that to complete my Persona collection. That's all I need is Persona Revelations. Well, and then we got Persona Royale coming out pretty soon, so that'll be another one. I'm already on it, so I'm really more so just worried about Revelations Persona. So, Star Ocean Second Story. I used to own this game. Next to Final Fantasy VII, and I'll say this, Star Ocean 2 is one of my favorite Japanese RPGs of all time. It definitely rivals Final Fantasy VII. The story's amazing. The characters are amazing. It's one game where you get to choose, like, you get to choose what type of battle system you want, which is pretty neat. And then you also have like, it's just like, it's just a really big sense of adventure. It's a really epic story. Just the characters you get are interesting. They're amazing. It's just, it's so much to that game. I really miss it. Like, I really want it again, because I remember I bought it. When I bought it, it was like $69. So compared to today's standards with rare RPGs, it's cheap. That's pretty cheap. So definitely want Star Ocean 2 again. Mugen Souls for the PlayStation 3. So this is a much newer game than the several entries that I mentioned. Those are all PlayStation 1 games. So Mugen Souls and Mugen Souls Z Mugen Souls, I never played it, but it just reminded me a lot of Disgaea. It like Disgaea in terms of like the presentation, the execution. I'm sorry, I'm really sweating here. Jeez. All right. But, yeah, it looks like one of those tactical games, again, where you move on a grid and you do, like, super crazy, over-the-top attacks, much like a Disgaea game. So, that's why I want that. I definitely want that. Okay, Shadow Hearts / Koudelka. So, Koudelka is part of the whole Shadow Hearts series. You have Shadow Hearts, Koudelka, Shadow Hearts from the New World, and Shadow Hearts Covenant. So, those 4 games, I played the first Shadow Hearts. That's the only one I've ever played. I never played Koudelka. I didn't play the other 2 Shadow Hearts. Just played the first one because my friend introduced me to it. And it's a really good game. So basically, it's a turn-based JRPG, but it's on a grid system, or not a grid system, I say, but you have something called attack rings, and the attack rings, say like somebody's doing a combo, like a 3-hit combo, you have to time each hit and the attack ring. If you time it just right, you do all the combos or whatever. So your main character in there, his name is Yuri, and he could transform. You're after a guy called Roger Bacon. He's just this crazy dude in history. Alright, and you can basically transform into like different monsters and stuff like that too as well. So, and it's a really dope. There's some like really genuine creepy parts in it too. It's a really dark JRPG. So if you ever know or you hear about, you ever see a chance to get Shadow Hearts, jump on it. Jump on either one. The Tales games. Now, I do have some Tales games. If you watched my last video, I did say I had some Tales games. I don't have all of them, but there's a bunch I wanted to get. Specifically, Legendia, Abyss, Arise, which is about to come out. Tales of Destiny, Tales of Symphonia, Tales of Symphonia 2, Xillia 2, Zastria, Graces, basically all of them. I think the only one I played was Symphonia, which was really fun. I never beat it. I want to get Symphonia back because they remade it for the PS3. And then I want to also get, Tales of. Let me go sit down here. I'm like fidgeting and everything. So yeah, definitely want to get the rest of the Tales games. Oh, is the lighting good on that? Okay, so rest of the Tales games. So we do the Tales games. Lunar 2 is another one. I never really played it. I beat the first Lunar, and I really want the second Lunar so bad. Eternal Blue. Parasite Eve 1 and 2. And I might as well include the third one in there. The first birthday or the third birthday. I don't know why it's called that, but Parasite Eve. I'm pretty up and down with Parasite Eve. I still want it because I used to own it for the PS1. I really liked the first one a lot because they took the best parts of Resident Evil and the first parts of and the best parts of Final Fantasy, and they mixed them together and made them an amazing game. Bless me. So that's the main reason why I do want it. Is it just took the best things about those two best games and just put them into one thing. The survival horror, the RPG elements, the battle system is really good. It's not really even it's sort of turn based because you have a weight bar, and then once the weight bar fills up, that's when you can actually do an attack. So while you're waiting, you can actually dodge attacks, move away from people, stay away from them until your meter builds. That's kind of cool. The second one felt more like a Resident Evil game. I was not a huge fan of the second one like that. Like, I played a lot through. I beat the first Parasite Eve. I never beat the second one. I got far in it, but the second one was kind of more like. The second one was a little disappointing to me because it was more like. You. It's more of a free battle type game, but it's more of a. It became more of survival horror with JRPG elements in it. It wasn't so much like an RPG anymore, whereas the first one was. And then I never played the third birthday. And actually, too, say about Parasite Eve 2. The story was really inferior to that first one. I didn't think the story. Well, the first one to the second one, the story wasn't really that great. So there's that. See, the Wild Arms series was another one because the only one I have is Wild Arms 3. And I want to actually stream Wild Arms 3, but I didn't want to just stream 3. I wanted to do the entire series, starting from 1 and then work my way up to the 5th one, including Alter Code F and the other side ones too. So, Wild Arms is definitely a must. The Art the Lad series was another one that I really liked. I owned Twilight Spirits, I think it was called Twilight of the Spirits or whatever, but it basically it was like Twilight of the Spirits was basically it was like a tactical JRPG mostly. It was really tactical, so that's all I remember of it. I haven't played it in a while, but it was taken from me, and I have to get another copy of it. And apparently there's a collection also on the PS1 that I want to get. So yeah, Art the Lad is a definite. Let's see, Dragon Crowns Pro, Miramasa. Never played those, but they look really good to me, so I want them. Dragon's Crown Pro reminded me more of a It's made by the same company that made Odin Sphere, Grim Grimoire, which is Vanillaware, and Vanillaware. They it felt like they channeled more of the Gauntlet games. You remember Gauntlet Legends? So that it felt more like Gauntlet. So a really beautifully hand drawn Gauntlet. Xenoblade Chronicles. I need a Wii for that, but apparently I heard that is the best JRPG on the Wii, so I want a Wii for it. Same with Last Story. And Last Story is made by the same guy that made Final Fantasy. Can you go wrong with that? Can you go wrong with Sakaguchi? Hironobu Sakaguchi is the godfather of Final Fantasy. Like, he is the sole creator of Final Fantasy. That he is the reason why Square Enix even has a Final Fantasy franchise. So there it is. That's why I want to play Last Story. And then I really like Lost Odyssey too, and Blue Dragon, and it was made by the same guy, so you can't go wrong with that. The Hyper Dimension Neptunia series. Okay, my friend who I said earlier in the video got me turned on to, who got me basically turned on to Shadow Hearts. He told me basically about this game. Like, he told me about Hyper Neptunia. He actually has a few of these games. I actually saw them floating around on the internet, and I'm like, man, I really need to get some of these. Like, it's a big series. There's a lot of them. There's a lot of Hyper Dimension Neptunias out right now, so definitely do that. Okay, we're going a little bit old school now. These were newer school games. We're going old school now. So back to old school. So PS2, Stella Deuce, Gate to Eternia. Now, a lot of people do not talk about this game. Like if you go to RPG forums and everything, a lot of people don't really talk about Stella Deuce, Gate to Eternia. I've never played it personally. I saw it in GameStop a while back when they were still selling PlayStation 2 games. I just kept passing it up. But it looked like an RPG I wanted to get my hands on. I never bought it. So now if I see it, I'm definitely getting my hands on it. Like, if I see it available, I'm picking it up on the spot. Again, just a really underrated JRPG by myself as well as everybody else. Let's see what else we got. Brave Fencer Musashi 1 and 2. And I did talk about Brave Fencer Musashi a little bit at the beginning of this video. But Brave Fencer Musashi is an amazing game. And I beat it twice a while back. It was a long time ago, but I beat it twice. And when I rebought it, I went back through it a third time. I just never... it got taken from me, and somebody broke in my car and took a lot of my games. So some of these JRPGs that you hear on this list are games I used to own, and I just want to get them. I want to recover them. But Brave Fencer Musashi 1 and 2 is okay. So those two games are so the first one is basically, it's not really like a turn-based RPG or anything like that. It's more like a Zelda-ish type game, but it has far more JRPG elements in it than Zelda does. Your swords actually gain levels from like doing attacks and stuff like that, absorbing powers. I still remember the one where you hold square, your smaller sword, you can throw it at enemies, and if you keep tapping the square button, you can absorb their abilities, whether it be passive abilities or actual power abilities. And then your big sword, I think it's called Lumina. I think the little one's called Lumina. I can't remember the name of the big sword, but the big sword just absorbs the elements. And then you basically have like different elemental attacks. You basically do side quests. There's actually backtracking. Like, there's like this big rock that's in the way, but you find out it's a giant slug, and you have to go find a thing of salt so you can shrink it down to a regular snail, and it just crawls away so you can access another area. You get stuff like that, basically. Like I said, I beat it. You basically, I I'm not going to ruin the ending if you've never played it or anything like that, because I still remember the ending pretty clearly. But as far as the second one was more like modernized, like Musashi talked more modern. You could actually ride on a motorcycle in this one. You actually had like it still had the same kind of things where you can like go around. It was more of like an action RPG versus the other one. I mean, the other one was kind of an action RPG also, but this one was more like smoother. It felt more smoother. So it's kind of cool, and it's got some really good boss battles in it. Amazing boss battles. So, and then the last one I have on here is Time and Eternity. I did actually play this game because I was going back and forth. I couldn't remember if I actually played this game or not. And then I just remembered that I did play it. And I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I just kind of wanted it in my collection, I guess. Time and Eternity, if you ever played it, is basically about this girl. Her and her husband, they basically get murdered on our wedding day. And she basically has to go back into time, and they for reasons they don't even explain. She has to go back into time basically, and she has to find out, or she basically has to stop the people who are going to murder her before it happens. I wasn't a huge fan of the battle system like that. It's basically it's an over-the-shoulder view. I mean, they try to do something different with it, which I think is cool. It's like an over-the-shoulder view, and not only is it over-the-shoulder view, but you have like different weapons and stuff. You have a rifle that you can use. A lot of the enemies are repeated. It's the same enemies. A lot of the animations are the same. The animation looks beautiful, but that's pretty much about it. So, but it's just something about that game that I was thinking about the other day. I was like, man, maybe I should get that game. I never owned it. I just played it. So that's pretty much my whole list here. Said before, just so if you really like, what is your list? Like, what games are your wish list? Like, what games did you play before, whatever? And I was like, man, I gotta own that in my JRPG collection. Or if you don't care, you can put that in the comments too. You can say, I don't give a shit. I don't care. So if you don't care, you don't care. Just go ahead, and what I do need you to care about is to like, comment, or subscribe on this video. Hit that notification bell below, because it's going to notify you whenever I put out a new video. And I will see you guys in the next video. Yes, we will be talking about my top 10 anticipated RPGs of 2020. We're still we're still in the beginning of the year of 2020. So I will tell you my most anticipated games that are coming. Yes, JRPGs. See you guys in the next video.